Well, good evening, good afternoon rather. Welcome. KTN Business Today starts right now, and that is the sound that lets you know that you're just in time for your daily dose of all matters making business headlines, not just here in Kenya, but indeed right across the region. What do we have for you on this show? Today, of course, being Wednesday, Entrepreneurship 101 on this show. A regular commentator, Jeff Njao Moe, here in studio as we speak, currently getting ready to go on set with me in just a few minutes to, well, give you your next dose on what exactly you should be doing to grow your business. Our focus today being on the perspective of how you should deal with your financing. Of course, that is later on in the show. Today on this show, we will be going to the courts where Kakamega Governor's Hospital Jamrong's trial is currently underway. He, of course, has been named in, well, a scandal that is currently being investigated, and that hearing is something that we will be checking into in just a few minutes. Well, but as usual, we want to start off with a quick look at just what the markets have been saying today. And the fact of the matter is that the markets have closed in just a few minutes ago, and we want to take a quick look at those numbers to bring you up to speed on what exactly that conversation has been. We start off with the currencies, the money markets. The dollar is buying for 100.74, 100.94, buying and selling levels respectively. The sterling pound pegged at 132.65 and selling for 132.95, while the euro is pegged at 117.34, buying 117.60, selling. Well, let's go to the NSE itself. Turnover, this of course is the figure from the last session. 670 million shillings worth of shares bought and sold. They're changing hands. Shares traded some 17.4 million shares so far. The NSE 20 share index moving upwards slightly, 3,280.46 points, while bond turnover was pegged at 1.5 billion shillings. Well, what have been the stocks that have been driving this trade? Well, most active stocks of the day: Safaricom, Earth River Mining, Cement, KCB, and Britam. Safaricom moving 2.77 million shares during that session. Earth River Mining moving 2.72 million shares. KCB 1.25 million. Britam moving 0.36 million shares. Well, the bulls and the bears of that trading session. Winning stocks of the day, these are the bulls. Nairobi Business Ventures up 10%. They're reaching the daily limit of, well, its movement, 1 shilling 65 cents. Umia Sugar up to 80 cents, moving up 6.67%. East Africa Portland Cement trading up at 6.22% to 20 shillings and 50 cents. While East Africa Cables is up 9.23% to 3 shillings and 55 cents. While losing stocks of the day, Samia Africa down 9.62% to 2 shillings 35 cents. Uchumi trending downward 7.14% to 1 shilling and 30 cents. Umeme, that of course is the Ugandan utility, down 2.35% to 8 shillings and 30 cents. While Longhorn Publishers down 2.33% on the day to 4 shillings and 20 cents. Well, for most people, they don't, well, really believe that there has been any figure of note that has been brought before the courts or even convicted in regards to corruption. But as we speak, Governor Hospital Jamrong's trial is currently underway. He has been hauled before court, allegedly over the misappropriation of some 8 million shillings. We want to cross to that event and listen to just what the proceedings are for just a few minutes.
In paragraph 45, the court says an assurance has been given to this court by the prosecution through Mr. Ondimu and IP Waweru that it is ready to have cases against the applicants and others heard expeditiously in line with section 4.4 of ASECA. They are ready to sit even after working hours. This is very good, and I hope when they say they are ready, they have complied with Article 52 C and J. I can say without fear of a doubt, there has been no compliance with Article 50, even currently as we speak, so that they cannot talk of being ready. Not to the extent that the judge was saying it should be, so that both the prosecution and the defense are on the same position. But in paragraph 46, which is where I'd like to narrow down, the court observes, is readiness by the prosecution in itself reason for denial of bail? This assurance can only make sense where one has been denied bail. Otherwise, the prosecution and the defense and the court have a noble duty to expeditiously dispose of the pending matter. Their readiness is not a consideration of this court to determine whether these men walk free or go out on bail. And we ask this court to completely disregard that line of argument that has been made. I turn my attention to the submissions that were made before you. You were told that a number of our submissions have been made off the cuff without an affidavit. My simple response to that is because it's only in court that we learn bail is being opposed. To say that we should allow them to lie in custody until we do our affidavits, Your Honor, is to simply facilitate the very intent the prosecution has in denying bail. Your Honor, you are being told that the fact that Your Honor, that the fact that demonstrations were held show that there was mobilization or capacity to mobilize. I need not go back far in our history. When the current president and deputy were accused at the ICC, it whipped up emotions. Indeed, it is a matter of notoriety that the ICC said there could be witness tampering, and indeed, they say there was. Was that a ground on which the court would deny them bail or deny them curtail their liberty? It wasn't. We cannot apply double standards when it comes to persons below their rank. And the fact that he remains in office as governor is not the basis. It should be premised on his actions and proof before you that he will interfere now, as opposed to the 4 years he has already had knowledge of this matter. He has done nothing towards that end. You know, one of the last things that you asked is that when the IO has told you, as it did in paragraph 9, of what the first accused did, and the threat to the officers of EACC. The question posed by Mr. Muteti was, what more would a court ask of such a witness? I'd like to respond to that, and I'd like to say that the court would ask that witness, when did he do it? Where did he do it? How did he do it? And where was it reported?
Well, that, of course, is the bail hearing at the Milimani Commercial Courts, where Busia Governor's Hospital Jamong has been brought before court. He's facing charges in regards to waste management project, in Busia County, where he and 9 others have been accused of misappropriating some 8 million shillings. And of course, the hearing there to determine whether he will get out on bond or whether he's going to, be remanded while the case goes on. Of course, one of the stories that we are keeping tabs on here today. Well, before you go on, just to bring you up to speed on what exactly our Twitter poll conversation is today, of course, we are interactive. And the question is, how has e-commerce shaped your shopping habits? Again, how has e-commerce shaped your shopping habits? The hashtag is KTN Business. You can reach out to me directly on @Peter or use the Twitter handle @KTN News. We will sample that conversation as the show does continue. Well, let's start off with the stories of the day. The latest survey data, this of course is from the Stanbic Purchasing Managers Index, signaled a robust, albeit softer improvement in business conditions right across Kenya's private sector in June. This was signaled by sharp rises in output and new business. In response to greater output requirements, firms raised their staffing levels at a solid pace. In line with the trend for output, new business rose for the 7th consecutive month in June. According to the report, in response to stronger demand conditions and greater output requirements, Kenyan private sector firms raised their staffing levels during June, extending the current sequence of job growth to 7 months. Moreover, job creation accelerated from May's 5-month low to reach a solid pace. Well, let's now go to that story about the Kenya Revenue Authority, where just a few days after the much-hyped deadline for filing tax returns passed, the Kenya Revenue Authority has reported a surge of 1.2 million new taxpayers. KRA notes that the improvement is significant, with a 60% growth in numbers over last year to now stand at a total of 3.2 million taxpayers. Last year, KRA recorded a compliance rate of some 2 million Kenyans who filed their income tax returns by the 30th of June 2017. Now, this growth has been attributed to increased consumer awareness and high uptake of the iTax online platform. To meet this year's budget, KRA will be tasked to raise about 1.9 trillion shillings in taxes to bridge the revenue shortfall. Taxpayers who fail to file returns within the deadline will pay a fine of some 20,000 shillings. Well, to now what is an interesting story that impacts you directly. Now, Kenya has in the recent past been struggling with the trade of counterfeit goods that has put people's lives in danger. The main victims also being motor vehicle traders and their customers. Generic parts are a lot of times said to be imported by unscrupulous traders from the Far East. Is that true? The following story tries to examine just that.
The influx of counterfeit automobile spare parts in the Kenyan market has been on the rise. Customers have been victims, as have been some of the traders and mechanics who sell them in genuine spare parts. Kefa Momanyi has been in the mechanic business for close to 5 years in Mwiki in Kasarani. He says he does not deal in fake parts and will never use them on a client's car. We started by asking him what is the first thing he does when customers come here.
Akikuja lazima usikize customer, shida ya customer. Sisi ni kama madaktari wa watoto.
And how can we genuinely tell when a product is genuine or not?
Hii ni ungenuine na this is genuine. Hii ukitumia hii I rust wrong. Unaweza fanya service after 2 weeks tena bado oil ina leak. That's why ina cost paka unapata gari zina knock engine. Hii ukitumia hii ina last to service. So that's why I prefer utumie genuine.
Julius Mwangi from Isuzu, East Africa, one of the dealers, says security of customers should be a key priority to anyone in the industry. Training is also necessary for all interested parties on selling spare parts, and also when one is interested in being a mechanic.
And to avoid any time them having non-genuine parts, we do frequent monitoring and training them and showing them the benefit of never ever using or always using genuine parts.
Many customers prefer interacting more with insurance companies.
Whenever a customer has, unfortunate, it requires to do vehicles to be repaired due to the insurance or due to the accident. What we do, we have engaged them, explained to them, and invariably they have realized it is cheaper to go through our deal outlet.
As some customers are fighting counterfeit from one end, others seem to be pulling from the other direction as well. The pull and push game is brought about by those who prefer cheap to expensive. For example, the oil lubricant that can give service for 5,000 kilometers goes for 1,800 Kenyan shillings. The fake one goes for 1,000 shillings.
Especially so for the matatus and for all the trucks, the cost is higher than when you use genuine parts. Why? Because it takes longer for you to go service the vehicle when you are using the genuine parts. When you are using the genuine parts, you have to frequently do it. And we have calculated and realized for a matatu, you have a saving of around that 1,000 in a year when you are using genuine parts.
Counterfeiting in automobile parts therefore has caused adverse economic harm, defraud to consumers, unfair competition to legitimate business, and has posed a danger to public health and safety. Hence the concern on the study of counterfeited spare parts. Julie Owino, KTN News.
Well, interesting perspectives right there. And a story that we'll keep tracking this week for you, because we, of course, will want to be speaking later on in the week to the Kenya Association of Motor Vehicle Repairers to get their perspective on just what exactly is going on now. Moving on in what is seen as a concerted effort by officials at Tanzania's Ports Authority to wood traders into using the port, the management has organized a two-day stakeholders forum and an exclusive tour of the port. Delegates from 8 countries have been meeting in Tanzania's capital, Dar es Salaam. KTN's Eugene Nangwe has that story.
Deputy Minister of Works,
Business operators using the Tanzania port have hailed the planned changes to be implemented by the Ports Authority by the end of this year. The changes include payment for cargo from their home countries without necessarily having to physically be present at the port in Dar es Salaam.
What went wrong? Taking the customer for granted. This went as deep as loosened security and safety at the port. From Rwanda, I remember there is a company that is dealing with the minerals. Some years back, lost 4 containers worth of minerals. But I can tell you, this is now history. It cannot happen again. We have improved in many areas, including safety and security. Recently, there was a case of attempted theft of minerals again from Rwanda. But this one was stopped. We are going to have sand instead of tantalite in the barrels. But because of the security system that is in place, we are able to catch that, and the culprits have been taken into action. So the issue of theft has been tremendously reduced to almost zero, and we will continue to do that. We need cooperation of everybody, and that's why you have this meeting. One of the areas that we are going to be discussing is the continued tightening of security, so that not even a single matchbox is stolen from within and outside the port.
The 3 days Transit Market Stakeholders Forum that opened on Tuesday in Dar es Salaam has attracted delegations from 8 countries, among them traders and industrialists. All of them here to share experience and also make their case to the Tanzanian Ports Authority.
As a private sector from Rwanda, we need to reduce the time used, to reduce the cost, to reduce the cost of verification of our cargo, to reduce the cost of port charges, to increase the days, free days, when our cargo is in the port. And to use the new technology maybe to pay the port from Rwanda, instead of coming and pay from here. We use the new technology to make everything faster.
This challenge is being tackled, but they are on 3-way bridges. It is important to have some way bridges, at least 3, or 1, 2 to 3, because you need to protect your roads. But there are also other issues of security, which is important also for transporters. What is important is not the number of way bridges, but how much time you spend on the way bridges. So what Tanzania has done is to do the way in motion technology, which at the moment we had one working very well at the coastal region in Vigwaza. You don't stop more than 5 to 10 minutes. So even if we are going to have 5-way bridges and you are stopping for 5 minutes at each, it's less than 1 hour compared to the 2 days that you'll be spending on the way.
For KTN News in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, I'm Eugene Anangwe reporting.
Well, on the basis of that story, we now want to take it to a short commercial break. But on the other side of that break, our conversations, which I had highlighted earlier, will be here with us. But first, we're of course asking you to talk to us online. The Twitter poll question for today is, how has e-commerce shaped your shopping habit? The reason we're asking that question is because we will have a discussion around just what exactly online shopping businesses, for example, Jumia, have been doing to enable, well, Kenyan business people and consumers get on the global markets. That, of course, is on the back of the conversation around entrepreneurship and, well, of course, you, our viewer. We now proceed to that short commercial break. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes.